Welcome to day 16. I've retreated back to the Bristol Avon canal because the Avon is very much flooded. In fact, there's flooding all over the country at the moment, so it's a bit dangerous to risk being close to the river. So we're back to the Bristol Avon canal, heading towards the city of Bath. I'm going to get as close as I can to the river on this walk. Now, Bath is the first city on this source to sea challenge, and also it's a complete departure from everything I've done so far. Even though we've had changing landscapes, we've never had a large urban area to explore before. So you can see the flooding there down in the valley, that's where I should have been walking. But anyway, we made it to Bath, and you can see it's a beautiful Georgian town, amazing architecture, stonework. I really did feel like the country bumpkin walking into the beautiful city. Real stark contrast to the environments I have been moving through. Now, Bath is built up around a hot spring, which was used in the Roman times to bathe and for health reasons. So it's quite an old city. There's lots of historical features here and lots of history. Now I've made it down to the river again, and I'm going to pop in a few bits of footage here of the centre of the town. So this is the cathedral, and the cathedral from another angle. See that lovely warm stone, and then we'll sweep across to the actual Roman baths. This is the front on the Roman baths themselves. Yeah, very much worth looking out, visiting if you have the chance. So back down to the river again. I crossed across the end of the Bristol Avon canal. So this is the highest point that the river is navigable, and then I carried on my merry way with the river very much in flood. Now the water was, the research I've done, about 3 meters above the top of the normal range of what it should be. So you could see just a minute ago flooding of the path just down to the right here ahead of us. But luckily I made it through, and this is me just heading out, back out into the countryside to the end of my walk. Luckily the path was clear, but the water not too far below me to the left there. And this is looking out towards where my next walk will be, so hopefully it's clear when we come to do that. It's day 17, welcome along. Today I'm walking from the city of Bath down to the town of Keynsham, starting off on an old railway here that was closed in the 60s and is now tarmacked as a cycle path. So easy walking to begin with. Hopefully then we'll be able to get down to the river at a point later in the walk, depending on flooding, and explore some of the Avon as well. Either way, this should be a beautiful stretch of the walk. It's a nice day, clear skies, bit of frost on the ground, and I'm looking forward to it. So this is the direction I'm coming from. I've chosen this path because it's built up and there is still some flooding. The Avon is running across there in the background, over by where that building is over there. So we're not far from it. Water levels are down about 3.5 meters since my last walk. We just covered 60 miles on this challenge, this source to sea challenge. So all those many days ago back up in Didmarton in Gloucestershire seem a long time ago and are a long distance away now. I would estimate there's, say, 15-20 miles left of the challenge over 3-4 days, and we will be at Avonmouth, which is going to be a tremendous achievement. First glimpse of the Avon today, looking downstream. The level of the water looks great for my walking further along the route today, so we're looking positive. This is a very nice little house up here overlooking the valley. We are now entering a wood on the edge of the valley here. The path's just cut across into the side of the hill. It's very pleasant today. Really enjoying this walk so far. Very pleasant cycle path to explore here, Bath to Bristol cycle path. And it's a cycle path which ultimately becomes a steam railway further towards Bristol. I believe there's no trains running at the moment, but yeah, during the summer, and maybe 2-3 miles down the path here, there's actually track laid, and you can jump on a steam train and explore this beautiful valley. Just wondering if they extended the track all the way to Bath, Be a great way of travelling between the two cities. Maybe I could have jumped on it and reduced my walk a little bit. Would have been fun. Spin you around again and show you just walking parallel to the railway there. So I'm not sure exactly what this railway was for, whether it was just replaced by the railway that's next to us, or whether it ran in a different direction. I know this track follows a path up into north of Bristol, and I believe the railway just behind you there is probably the main Bath to Bristol Temple Means train. If you look across where the train is off in the distance there, the Avon's running literally here. So the path, the footpath, is literally railway embankment, footpath, river. So that's why I decided to follow this tarmac raised cycle route, just to make sure I don't get my feet wet. But yeah, lots of boats on the river down there, and as I say that, I can see a rower just passing east, back the way we've come down the river. It's going to be interesting to see the types of boats that are on the river here in this section, as opposed to obviously the canal. Already I've seen some canal boats, but there's obviously going to be some larger crafts as well. Let's crack on and see what we can find. Okay, so we've now arrived at the edge of the village of Saltford, sorry. Looking back towards the village and then spinning around looking out across this beautiful countryside. Now apparently this village is called Saltford because at this point on the river the water is actually salty from the sea. So that means we're getting somewhere. That means we're getting closer to the end of this walk. I don't know if it's tidal here, there's no signs of that, but yeah, definitely salt in the water. Pretty cool. So we'll leave the railway behind for now and head back down to the river. Just taking a look at this amazing rock formation there. Absolutely incredible. As we've now made it back down to the river, which is gently flowing, fairly wide, but nowhere near floodwater. Gorgeous view across open countryside. Absolutely beautiful to get back down to the water again. Okay, so I'm heading back into the countryside on a less used track. Haven't seen anyone for about 5-10 minutes. It's quite beautiful actually, I'd say. Today's walk, enhanced by the mild weather. Today's walk has been maybe one of my favourites of the entire challenge so far. So the Avon's just across behind me and I'm following a footpath as close as I can to it. As I say how good today's walk is, I can see that there's flooding in the field ahead of us, but hopefully I can go off and around it. I'm going to give it a go, see how I get on. And here's the first sign of major flooding. So this field, I guess, when this river, last weekend when we were walking, this whole field would have probably been flooded, with the Avon being literally just across behind you over there. Yep, plenty of crap from the river up on the bank here, but the Avon a number of meters below us. So again we continue. That little challenge is done. If I need to go back I can always go all the way around the edge this time, but we're lucky I won't have to. So there we go, that's the field I've just crossed. I've just found this path up here which these lads ahead have just walked down. That's where I should have been going, so I could have avoided all that. Anyway, back on a well marked, well trodden path. Quick view of another weir. River very wide at this point. Our way lies ahead this way. Now we're following the river in a huge meander here, so if I'd have stayed on the railway, would have cut off this sort of leg of the walk, but I wanted to come down and explore by the river. I think it was worthwhile walking along the railway there, seeing something a bit different, a bit of more heritage and history on this challenge. But equally, it's nice to be beside the river. That's what this challenge is about. A bit more evidence of flooding here, I think. All this straw. Go up on this fence. Okay, so bad news. I've just followed a well-used footpath underneath the cycle path, which is about 3 metres across on a bridge, 3 metres above on a bridge. Okay, so let's clarify things a bit. My walk along the cycle path took me to about here. I then walked out around these fields following the river. Now, at this point here, my hope was to rejoin the cycle path and then cross over and carry on along to the end of my journey here, so along here basically. Unfortunately, at this point there's no slipway, so the footpath running across here had no access to this cycleway, so unfortunately I had to take a massive detour through all these fields and out through Keynsham back to here. I also was hoping to show you the laid track here and the station, but yeah, unfortunately no slipway, so I was a bit peed off and I had to take this massive detour. And there's no slipway up to the cycle path. So I'm now on a massive detour through farmers' fields, either back to Salford. So the upshot is we get to explore Keynsham, which was never on the schedule for this walk. I don't know what Keynsham has to offer other than the few charity shops that I visited. Maybe it will throw up a surprise for us. Oh, we are quite away from the river now, which isn't really a problem. We will be back down there soon, and the main thing was today we avoided all the flooding, which if we'd come last week would have been completely impossible. So I continued on my merry way down to Keynsham and walked through the town, had a bit of an explore, and then joined up with the River Chew and followed it down to my collection point at the end of today's day 17 walk, and also the end of today's video. So thanks for joining me. Cheers.